What's good, Washington Commander fans? All right, now let's unpack Cliff Kingsbury and Joe Whitt over the last couple of days. Going to be the OC, and Whitt is going to be the DC. They both had the introductory press conference the other day, and they spoke a lot about their expectations. Now, Kingsbury for himself, he didn't really go into many details because a lot of everybody was trying to get him to talk a little bit more about what's going to happen or who they're looking for as quarterback and all that good stuff like that. But Kingsbury kind of kept it on the he kind of kept it on the wraps, kind of kept I like and say, oh, you know what I'm saying, and everything like that. So you don't want him to tip his hand and just try to make everybody think, oh well, they're gonna go for Caleb Williams or we're gonna trade up for Caleb Williams. To me, in which I think it still is a bad idea for the Commanders to really go after Caleb Williams. You're gonna give up a lot of draft picks, which the Commanders have a lot of draft picks themselves. You know, and I have a video to do about uh, the Commanders scenario with them. You know, leading up to the draft. So I'm gonna probably do that over the weekend, probably tomorrow. And it's but Kingsbury, he did say that he gave Caleb Williams praise. He gave Lincoln that day. He acknowledged them. He didn't win it too much about the situation that went on with the Raiders and everything like that. He said he just wanted to keep it under wraps. He did also they asked him about his connection with Magic Johnson. He didn't want to go into that too much, but they did ask him about Patrick Mahomes. But he has to be decisive. He has to be able to make plays. He got to be able to know how to utilize what the defense is giving him, in which I do think that even though Hasselbeck keeps saying, he's promoting Drake May. That's his job. He's from the ACC. He's worked for the ACC. He has to talk about Drake May. You know what I'm saying? He can't talk about everybody else. Now, he boosted up Drake May and try to put down the other quarterbacks, which I know that Caleb or Jaden Daniels probably will be either or. Now, if Drake May comes, like I said, I seen video on Drake May. I Sam was to me, he a taller version of Sam Howell. I mean Sam Howell. You know, I mean he can make, especially when these defense line up the pocket. Shoot, as good as Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen is, it's hard to get them out. It's hard to sack them, but you could get to them. Same thing with Patrick Mahomes. You got to have a really good defensive front to really make sure this happens. And that's what Cliff Kingsbury was stating. He wants to make sure that the commander's quarterback, whoever it may be, is able to have decisiveness, able to move out the pocket, able to have escapability and make the plays down the field. In which I do think Caleb could do that. So my problem is Caleb is too short. He'll be another Drew Brees like type guy. Now, can he get it done? I ain't saying he can't. You know what I'm saying? Will be the perfect leader. Will have to put on some weight. I do believe that because he's going to have to take a bound. Everybody compares him to RG3. Some said Lamar Jackson. I see a little bit of both, but I do see a guy that can make plays. I mean, people understand. I read a comment on Facebook the other day, and they was talking about how the difference between Williams. And I understand a lot of the fan base from Virginia and everything wants Caleb Williams to be the quarterback for the Washington Commanders because he's hometown. I get that. I get the fascination with Caleb Williams. I do believe it. I get that. But at the same time, it's more to these other quarterbacks. And like I said, I will get in a little bit deep dive situation. They stated that, you know, he knows what he wants. He wants the offense to be a little bit fluid. And he said one thing that was very, very key in his press conference. They want to be balanced. They want to be able to run the ball. That is something that we need more, is running the ball, be a little bit balanced. But the enemy wants to be stubborn as heck because he wants to throw the ball. Sam Howell's getting sacked a record high this season. He's throwing more turnovers this season. Something you're supposed to be able to back. If this is the guy that you want to be your franchise, you want to be able to protect him and not put so much on his plate. And that's where I feel like Ron Rivera and Eric Bieniemy did not deal with Sam Howell. So Kingsbury made that that notion, in that he knows that you got to be balanced both sides of the ball. His bad experience in Arizona, and he's looking like, okay, we got all of these coaches, and something he alluded to, that we have all of these coaches and they all bring together to have a very divided. Joe Whitt, to me, I think he nailed the press conference. I think he'd been around Dan Quinn enough to see how Dan Quinn operates, and he knows what Dan Quinn is looking for. So me personally, I feel like that is something that is amazing to me, that understanding where we are as a unit, where we're going to be. He's mentioned identity. He mentioned being faster the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? These are the things that Dan Quinn defense always did, and especially in the turnover department. I think it's going to be special. He also talked about his fascination with Emmanuel Forbes. I think Emmanuel Forbes will have a better season. The sophomore season will be a little bit better. I think Quan Martin will take a step forward. Now, we still got Cam Curl to resign if we bring him back, or we look for somebody else, or we look for somebody to replace him in. Free agency, there's a whole lot that's going there. But he also talked about his time being under Dan Quinn. He also talked about, his dad, linebackers coach, and he's a back-end coach. So he talked about a lot of different things for the Commanders, which I can't. I'm really love, so, and so all of these goes a whole lot different ways. The ball and special teams is going to make the Washington Commanders a little bit more attractive. They're going to be now, like I said, they have to put it on. Are going to be one of the teams that makes that. There's nothing to say that the Commanders can't not make that jump from worst to first next year. I do believe, and I think it's going to be sustainable. I think it's really going to be sustainable. So, but all in all, he said what he needed to say. He wanted to make sure that these guys know what they are. He like I said, he worked, so he knows Dan Quinn. He knows what Dan Quinn is going to look for. He knows what Dan Quinn is going to be about. You know what I'm saying? There's no doubt in my mind that it's going to resonate to what we definitely are looking for as a team. And like he also say, per Nikki Javala, we have coaches from all different trees. And they have to have an identity. They scheme. They're gonna come together and what kind of scheme they're gonna run. Whether it's a 3-4 or 4-3, doesn't matter. It's all. You can have different schemes, you know what I'm saying, but at the same time, you're going to want these guys to do the things that. With that being said, he did also mention, if he was ready to be a coordinator, and he said he's been in the league for 18 years. He's been ready. Yeah, I think he could have worded a little bit more. So I think that he's been ready, and he said that. And if you can't get the best out of the guys, it's not about it's what they do best, not what you can get. You just don't know how to coach, you know what I'm saying? So like I said, and they when you want to watch it, he said we're gonna be at least on people in a violent manner. And so I love what he's going to bring. I love what he's going to try to enforce and instill in Washington as a defensive unit, something that we have been missing in a long time. And that's identity. We have missed. Now moving on for that. There was one made but Dan Quinn brought in Sarah Hogan. She's coming on Washington coaching chief of staff Sarah Hogan. She's going to be the chief of staff under Dan Quinn. So, and I think Roy Mars had with Dan Quinn was able to propel her over there. Still no word on, I guess, the other coaching staff that was on Washington, either they let go or whatever. But so Washington hired Sarah Hogan previously. She was going to be the chief of staff under Dan Quinn, which Falcons before joining the organization in May 2000, was hired as head coach. She started as a scout administrator, coordinator before transitioning to coordinator of head coach operations less than a year later, forming a closer relationship with Dan Quinn. Now, Hogan joined to Raheem Morris. Like he wanted her because he gave her a lot of insight. I think he wanted to keep her. He know that she probably would have been able to go and be with Dan Quinn. And like I said, Dan Quinn he's building his staff the right way. He's getting all these connections that work well with him in Atlanta and Seattle and whatever the case might be, and Dallas, and then bring it to the forefront for his staff. And this is something that the Commanders put together. I think it won't be out the gate on, and this team will thrive exponentially. Also, Dan Quinn did give Hogan her first NFL opportunity, so she's going to be grateful for that. Commanders, and she's going to be able to take the Commanders to the next level, offering the same value that Raheem Morris thought he would have had with her in Atlanta. That goes to show you that the front office of the Commanders and the coaching staff of the Commanders are going to be a one unit cohesiveness. They are going to think the same. They're not going to think differently. Hopefully we don't have no egos and stuff like that. And I think Dan Quinn's voice is going to be the ultimate voice of the team. He's going to allow his coordinators and everybody to work. Now, I do want to say this because last year when I was at the training team, you know what I'm saying, you get to see all these coaches on the field. You're going to be able to appreciate the players and the free agents that we bring in and draft. Also, they're going to be a really great unit. Now, like I do, they're going to be able to not come out the gate really crazy, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be great. Today, I do have a blog talking on the overall substantial work that the Commanders have done hiring the front office. Josh Harris has done with the front office, and it gives a whole thorough breakdown of everything that has happened so far within the front office and the coaching staff. So do another fulfilled patent video from Livewire Sports Media, talking everything Commanders, Miami Hurricanes, Atlanta Braves, and anything around the sports world. But hit that like, comment, subscribe. Until then,